Hi, good morning, viewers. Myself, Redwar Venugopal, and I am Assistant Professor of Physics, and I am working at Government Degree College, Mahabad. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic Biot-Savart's law, and we are also going to discuss some of its applications. Okay, so this is a topic in magnetostatics, the chapter, uh, which is in electromagnetism course, which is a syllabus for BSc Physics semester 6 students. Okay, so the learning objects of my today topic are: what is Biot-Savart's law, and how to use it to determine the magnetic field due to a thin straight wire, and and we are also going to learn the uh, magnetic field created from a thin straight wire by using second right hand rule, and we are also going to determine the force acting between two current carrying conductors, and they should be parallel, and we are also going to determine the magnetic field to a circular current carrying coil. These are the things we are going to discuss today. So what is Biot-Savart law? Biot-Savart law is nothing but an equation. It's an equation used to calculate the magnetic field produced by a current, and is known as Biot-Savart's law. It's an empirical law which is named after two eminent scientists, Biot and Savart, who investigated the interaction between a straight current carrying wire and a permanent magnet. This enables us to calculate the magnitude and direction of the magnetic field which is produced by the current carrying wire. So Biot-Savart's law states that at any point the magnetic field dB due to a current element dl of the current carrying wire is given by dB, that is called mu naught by 4 pi into I dl bar cross r bar divided by r square. Let me explain this. So this is the current carrying conductor. This one is a current carrying conductor. This one is a current carrying conductor, and the current flowing through that particular conductor or wire is I. Now we want to find out the magnetic field induction at point P, where dB is the magnetic field induction. So what I mean to say, we want to find out dB, the magnetic field induction at point P due to this small current carrying element dl. This dB will be depending on three parameters. It will be depending on three parameters. They are: one is, it depends on the length of the point, or the distance of the point from the current carrying element. This is the current carrying element. So it depends on the distance of the point from the current carrying element. It will be, that means let us say dB is the magnetic field due to this current carrying element dl at point P. Then dB will be inversely proportional to r square. That means it inversely proportional to the distance between the point P where we want to find out the magnetic field induction due to current carrying element, and it is also proportional to sine theta, where theta is the angle between the line of joining point P and the current carrying element, that is dl, and theta is the angle between the current carrying element dl and the line of joining point P and the element, and it will be also proportional to the current itself. That means how much current is flowing through this current carrying element. It is proportional to that current. Okay, so if you combine all these things, we will come to a relation dB is proportional to ideal sin theta divided by r square. Okay. So if you put a proportionality constant, some proportionality constant, that is mu naught by 4 pi, then we can write like this, where mu naught is called as permeability of free space, and its value is 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 Tesla meter per ampere. Okay. Then the total magnetic field induction B at point P due to the entire current carrying conductor wire is given by B bar is equal to mu naught by 4 pi integral over the wire ideal bar cross r bar divided by r square. By using this formula, we can find out the total magnetic field at point P due to the entire current carrying conductor. Here, just remember this one. This is a unit vector. This is a unit vector in the direction of r bar vector. Okay. Now, as we have discussed, this dB is proportional to ideal sin theta by r square, or we can write dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi. This is some proportionality constant into ideal sin theta by r square. Now the total magnetic field induction at point P due to the entire wire is given by B bar is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into ideal sin theta divided by r square. Okay. So this mu naught by 4 pi is a constant, so we can take it out. So we can write this one, B bar is equal to mu naught by 4 pi integral over the total wire and ideal sin theta divided by r square. So the intensity of the magnetic field at H, so you know already, if magnetic field induction at point P is B bar and intensity of the magnetic field H, then there is a relation between these two. That relation is B is equal to mu naught H. Therefore, H is equal to B by mu naught. This is in free space. But when you take a normal any medium, if mu is the permeability of that particular medium, then H will be B by mu. So just we have to remember this one. So the intensity of the magnetic field at P is given by H bar is equal to B bar divided by mu naught integral ideal sin theta divided by r square. So this is the Biot-Savart's law in magnetostatistics. Okay. Now let us discuss about the applications part. So just observe here. Now we are going to find out the magnetic field induction at point P due to the straight current carrying wire. Okay. So consider a straight current carrying wire AB like this, and let P be a point at a distance d from the center of the current carrying conductor, and at P we need to find out the magnetic field induction B bar due to this current carrying wire. Okay. So for this one, what we are doing, we are considering a small element of that particular conductor, which is QR and of length dl bar. It is situated at distance x from the center of the wire, and it is at a distance of r from the point P. Okay. Now we want to find out the magnetic field induction dB bar at P due to this small current carrying element by using Biot-Savart's law, and then we integrate between some limits. I will explain later, and by integrating this thing we will get the magnetic field induction B bar due to this total current carrying wire at P point. So if you observe this diagram, in this diagram this is a straight current carrying wire. This is a straight current carrying wire. The magnetic field lines are circular one. It is surrounding the wire. This is, let us say, this is the wire where it is passing through this. Then the magnetic field lines are circular in shape. So this has been shown in this figure. So in this diagram, just observe, this is the current carrying wire, this AB is the current carrying wire, this is the center of the wire, that is we are calling it as O, and we want to find out the magnetic field induction B at point P, which is at a distance D from the center of the wire. For this one, what we are doing, we are considering a small current carrying element, that is QR, at a distance R from this point, at a distance R from this point. Here this is smaller, R from this point, and also that element is situated at a distance of X from the center of the wire. We are calling this element as QR of length DL. Okay, so this is the AB is the current carrying conductor. Now for convenience, we are taking this angle, that means the angle made by the point B at point P with respect to the line of joining the center of the wire and P. We are taking this angle theta2, and we are taking this angle, that is the line of join, the angle between the line of joining point P and A, and this line, OP line, that is the line joining P and O. We are taking this angle as theta1, and we are also taking this angle, that is the angle made by the point at DL. We are taking this angle as alpha, and the angle made by this current carrying element at P point, we are taking this angle as d theta. We are taking this angle as d theta. So just remember these things, and we are going for the derivation of the magnetic field induction due to this current carrying wire. Let PR is equal to R. So this is this distance PR. Let us call this one as PR. We are calling that distance as R, and angle of OPR, delta OPR, this one, this angle, we are calling this angle delta OPR, that means the angle OPR is theta, and RPQ, this angle we are calling it as d theta, and PQR, this PQ and R, we are calling this angle as alpha. So by using these things, we can derive the magnetic field induction at point P. So for this one, what we are doing, we are going to use Biot-Savart's law. So the magnetic field induction dB at point P due to this small current carrying element QR is given by dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi ideal sine alpha by R square, because instead of theta we have taken that angle as alpha, that's why this sine alpha comes. And in delta OPR, if we consider this triangle, delta OPR, theta plus alpha is equal to 90 degrees. Theta plus alpha, if you sum up these two things, it will become 90 degrees. 90 degrees. Why? Just I will explain. See here. This is our triangle now. This is our triangle now. This is O, this is P, this is R. This angle is alpha, this angle is the theta, and this is angle is 90 degrees. Okay. So, but if you sum up all the angles in the triangle, it comes up 180 degrees. So 180 degrees is equal to 90 degrees plus alpha plus theta. So from this equation you can write alpha plus theta is equal to 90 degrees. Hence what happens, sin alpha will becomes cos theta. Just I will explain. See here, theta is equal to 90 degrees minus alpha, or pi by 2 minus alpha. So theta is equal to, now we write sin theta that is equal to sin pi by 2 minus alpha, it will be there. Sin theta is equal to, this is nothing but cos alpha. Okay, like this we can derive sin alpha is equal to cos theta. Okay, now we can write dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into ideal cos theta. Instead of sin theta, sin alpha, we are writing cos theta divided by r square. Now what we have to do, from R we are drawing a perpendicular to this line, like it will be like this. Just this small element, that is QR. The line is like this. This line is like this. From here, from this point to, we are drawing a perpendicular to this line. Okay, so R is from R drawn RS. Let us, we are calling it as RS perpendicular to PQ. This PQ line. Okay, so then, but RS is equal to R into d theta. This we know, and RS is equal to dl cos theta. Hence, what happens? Dl cos theta will be equal to R d theta. Therefore, dB bar is, or dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi IR d theta divided by R square it becomes. Now, this is the equation we have derived in the previous slide. Now we are taking delta OPR, triangle OPR. From that triangle we can find out d by r is equal to cos theta is equal to d by r, or simply 1 by r is equal to cos theta by d. This we can write. Therefore, what happens? dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I cos theta d theta divided by d it becomes. Now, let us try to find out the total magnetic field induction P at B at point P due to the entire length of the conductor, that is BA, is obtained by integrating this equation between the limits theta 1, that is equal to minus theta 1, because that is negative, it is downward, that is negative, and we take theta 2, that is positive, it is upward. That's why we take it as positive. That is theta is equal to theta 2. So these are the two limits we are going to integrate. So hence, what happens? B is equal to integral minus theta 1 to theta 2. These are the limits. Mu naught by 4 pi I cos theta d theta divided by d. So just we are taking these two are constant. I is constant and d is constant. We are taking it out, and we have to integrate this integral cos theta d theta. That is nothing but sin theta. So B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by d sin theta minus theta 1 to theta 2. If you substitute these limits, we will get like this. dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by d sin theta 2 minus sin of minus theta 1. Minus sin of minus theta 1 is nothing but minus sin theta 1. So this minus plus becomes plus here. So in the this is the final formula, that is B bar is equal to, or quantity modulus of B bar is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by d sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. So this is the formula for calculating the electric field due to a straight current carrying wire. Okay, but in some cases we can generalize the situation. Suppose this wire is, let us say, of infinite long, then what happens? Our theta 1 in the case becomes minus pi by 2 and theta 2 becomes plus pi by 2. If you substitute those limits here, B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by d sin minus pi by 2 is nothing but 1, and sin plus pi by 2 is also 1. Then it becomes mu naught by 4 pi into I by d into 2. If you simplify this one, it is equal to mu naught by 2 pi into I by d. It will become this one. But the units for the magnetic field induction are Weber per meter square. So therefore the magnetic field induction due to the straight current carrying conductor of infinite length will be B is equal to mu naught by 2 pi I by d Weber per meter square. So this is the final equation. So this is very important. This is very important. In the next coming sections also, we are going to use this equation. Now, let me explain about the magnetic field lines because of the straight current carrying wire. So, the magnetic field lines of the infinite wire are circular and centered at the wire. Just observe these diagrams. If you observe, this is the magnetic, this is straight current carrying wire. So, if you consider at this particular plane, the magnetic field lines are circular in shape. They are centered at, again, they are concentric circles at the current carrying wire. Since the field decreases with the distance from the wire, the spacing of the field lines must be increased correspondingly with the distance. If you observe, this is the line, and this is a magnetic field line, and this is a magnetic field line. If you observe, if you are going away from this center of the wire, the distance between the concentric circles goes on increasing. That means the intensity of magnetic field is magnetic field induction is decreasing if you are going away from the center of the wire. So now let us try to find out the direction of the magnetic field lines. For finding this one, we have to use this. We have to hold our current carrying conductor. If you like, hold like this. If this is the direction of the wire, then our fingers wrap around this conductor. These fingers tells the direction of the magnetic field lines. So to find the direction of magnetic field lines, we can simply take small compass boxes. If you hold, just what we have to do, just take a paper, just make a hole in that paper, just put the conductor like this, okay. If you are passing a current through this conductor, what happens if you put a small compass around this in a circle? If you draw a circle and put a small compass on this circle, when current passes through this wire, the all compasses shows they align in the circle. That means magnetic field line is always circle. When you take this straight current carrying wire, it has been shown here. Just observe this diagram. It has been shown here. If you observe, you can this is a straight current carrying wire. We can observe these are the concentric circles. These are the concentric circles which are showing the magnetic field lines due to a straight current carrying wire. Now let us try to find out the magnetic force between two parallel current carrying conductors. So if you observe in this diagram, these two are the straight current carrying conductors in which the current I1 and I2 is flowing. Okay, so here we are going to use the same concept we have derived in the previous slides or previous sections. Okay, so till now what we have done, we have derived an equation for the magnetic field at point P. We are calling that magnetic field as B. So we have derived an equation for magnetic field induction B due to a straight current carrying conductor at point P which is at a distance d from the center of the wire. So we have got an equation that is mu naught by 4 pi or mu naught by 2 pi into I by R or I by D. So if this is the current carrying element, if it is at a distance R, then it is nothing but mu naught by 2 pi R. This is we have derived till now. So now what we want to do is we have to derive an equation for the force acting between these two current carrying conductors. Okay, let me explain. This is one conductor. 1 minute. This is one current carrying conductor, and this is one more current carrying conductor. The current which is flowing through this current carrying conductor, this one is I1. The current flowing through this current carrying conductor is I2. So what happens? Let me consider only this wire for the timing. Let me explain this thing later. If let us say the distance between these two conductors is R. Let us say this conductor and this conductor is there. The distance between these two current carrying conductors is R. Okay. Now our aim is to find out the magnetic field due to this current carrying conductor at a distance R. If you find out the magnetic field induction because of this current carrying wire at a distance R, we are going to call that one as B1. Okay. So now what we are doing, we are bringing one more conductor which is carrying a current I2 into the magnetic field of current carrying conductor I1, and we are placing this current carrying such that it is at a distance of R from this wire. Okay. So the situation will be like this, as shown in this figure. It has been shown in this figure. Just observe here. What we have done now, just for the timing, just forget about this wire. So this is these are the two current carrying conductors. What we have to do at this particular point where the second current carrying conductor is placed, we have to find the magnetic field at this point due to this first current carrying conductor. Okay, so we are calling that one that as that magnetic field due to this first current carrying conductor at this point as B1. Okay, obviously B1 will be like because the distance between these two current carrying conductors is R. So obviously the magnetic field B1 because of the I1 current through this current carrying conductor at this point is B1 is equal to mu naught into I1 divided by 2 pi R. This is the equation for, or this is the magnetic field induction at this point due to this current carrying conductor. Now actually in this second current carrying conductor, current is flowing, that is I2 amount of current is flowing through this current carrying conductor, and the length of this current carrying conductor we are calling it as L. Okay, now we have to find out the force acting on this current carrying conductor because of the magnetic field created by this current carrying conductor. We now this field is uniform from the wire 1 and perpendicular to it. So the force F2 it exerts on a length L of the wire 2 is given by F is equal to BIL sin theta. This is common formula. So let me explain. Suppose we have a magnetic field. Suppose we have a magnetic field of intensity B, and what we have done, we have kept a current carrying conductor in which a current I is flowing, and the length of the conductor is L, and the angle between the magnetic field induction and current flowing direction is theta. Then the force acting on this conductor, which is kept in the magnetic field induction B, is given by F is equal to BIL sin theta. Here we have called the current as I. That's why we are taking this formula, that is F is equal to BIL sin theta. But here we have to remember one thing, that is, if you consider this this one, the magnetic field lines are perpendicular to the current carrying element. That means the angle between DL and B always 90 degrees. That means the angle between these two are 90 degrees. That's why sin theta becomes 1. So from this one we can write the force acting on this second current carrying conductor, that is F2, will be equal to I2 into IB1, where B1 is this one, we have to substitute. So the force on the wires are equal in magnitude, because this is a converse phenomena. We can take any wire and we can calculate the magnetic field to that particular wire. If we kept the other wire in that particular magnetic field, how much force is acting on that particular wire is can be calculated, as we have explained on the previous slide. So we can interchange the wires. So if you take this wire, you can calculate the magnetic field at this particular wire, and if the current is flowing through this wire, we can calculate the force acting on this particular wire. Like this, we can interchange. So the forces on the wires are equal in magnitude. So we just write F for the magnitude F2. Instead of F2, we are writing F. So since the wires are very long, it is convenient to think in terms of F by L, because the wires are very long. That's why instead of calling as force acting on that particular wire, we call force per unit length. Okay, the force per unit length. So by substituting this expression for B1 into F2, that is I2 LB1, and rearranging the terms gives F by L is equal to mu naught I1 and I2 divided by 2 pi R. So this is the equation for the force acting on between two current carrying conductors which are parallel to each other. So if you observe this equation, the force acting between two current carrying conductors depends on the two parameters. They are the currents flowing through each of the conductor and the distance between the conductors. So the situation is like this. We have two conductors in which in one of the conductor I1 current is flowing, in the other conductor the current I2 is flowing. So the distance between these two conductors is R. If you observe this equation, the force per unit length between these two current carrying conductors which are parallel to each other will be depends on the two parameters, that is currents flowing through these two conductors, that is I1 and I2, and the distance between these two current carrying conductors, that is R. So the ratio of F by L is the force per unit length between the two parallel currents I1 and I2 separated by distance R. The force is attractive if the currents are in the same direction. That means if the currents are in the same direction, attractive force acts between them. Otherwise, if the currents are in the opposite directions, a repulsive force will be acting between them. So this force is responsible for the pinch effect in electric arcs and other plasmas. So the force exists whether the currents are in wires or not. It is only apparent if the overall charge density is 0. Otherwise, the Coulomb repulsion overwhelms the magnetic attraction. In an electric arc, where charges are moving parallel to one another, an attractive force squeezes currents into a smaller tube. In large circuit breakers, such as those used in neighborhood power distribution systems, the pinch effect can concentrate an arc between plates of switch trying to break a large current, burn holes, and even ignite the equipment. Another example of the pinch effect is found in solar plasma, where jets of ionized material such as solar flares are shaped by magnetic forces. So, with this, let me briefly explain the topics today we have discussed. We have started with Biot-Savart's law. Biot-Savart's law is just an equation, just is an empirical equation named after two scientists, Biot and Savart, who have extensively studied the interaction between the current carrying conductor, straight current carrying conductor, and permanent magnetic field, and it is given by dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi ideal sin theta by r square. And we have used that particular Biot-Savart's law equation to derive the magnetic field induction due to a straight current carrying conductor, and we have derived an equation that is magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r. Then what we have done, we have used that particular relation to find out the force acting between two straight current carrying conductors which are carrying currents I1 and I2, and the distance between them is r. Then we have arrived at a relation that is force per unit length mu naught into I1 I2 by 2 pi r. So then I have also explained that if the currents are flowing through that wires in the same direction, an attractive force will be acting between them, and if the currents are flowing in reverse direction like this, the repulsive force will be acting on that. So these are the things we have discussed today till now, and in the tomorrow class I will explain what is the magnetic field induction due to a circular coil at a point on the axis, and I will also discuss about the magnetic field induction due to a long solenoid on the axis of it. Okay, these are the things we are going to discuss in the tomorrow's lecture. If you have any doubts, please try to post your questions and your queries in the chat box. I will go through them and I will answer those questions. Still, if you have any doubts, you can contact me through WhatsApp or Facebook like that. Thank you very much. With this, I will conclude my lecture for today. We will meet tomorrow.